introduce yourself and plug yourself, please.
Good evening, everyone, and hail to the Phantom Menace. It's Mike from a contributor over here at Bleeding Fool, and also an editor and contributor, a co-author on the Phantom Menace project with Stephen Walton Jr. I'm here with my good friend Bear. We usually do a Friday night show, but we found such interesting news today that we figured we'd share some of our thoughts with you this evening.
Yeah, I was live with Final Death Star, and we were about halfway through, and it was after the trailer that we were going through. It seemed like I was experiencing, I got a warning from my Avast that I had a phishing attack going. And it totally blocked the website. It blocked StreamYard. So I reported it to StreamYard on Facebook. And they pretty much answered me immediately. And it took them about maybe an hour or so to get it taken care of. And then I was able to use StreamYard, and it wasn't being blocked by my antivirus. And it was AVG and Avast that was false flagging StreamYard.com. And I remember Gary was having problems. Gary at Nerdrotic was having problems with having two streams going at the same time. And I think it was because something was going on. That's my personal opinion. Remember, we share opinions here.
Absolutely.
And rumors and sometimes spoilers.
That's right. And I had the same similar situation happen with me a couple of weeks ago when we were all together on one of our regular Friday nights. And the same situation happened with me. It began flagging the program for phishing scams. This went on until it just wouldn't even let my connection reset to StreamYard at all. It completely blocked the site. And, a variety of things happened after that. But again, StreamYard was very, very quick to get a hold of me, to get back to me. So that was, even though, it's obviously a big inconvenience, it was very nice to see that for such a young and up-and-coming company that they're right on top of their customer service, because I had someone respond to me very quickly as well, and resolve rather quickly as well. The other problems that were associated obviously weren't dealt with as quickly, but StreamYard sorted their part of the issue out. And I myself also believe that there may be other things involved with just StreamYards being a newer type of platform that is just starting to have a lot more exposure and use than it's used to. But in any case, those are just speculations and thoughts. I'm sure everybody has their own as well.
So yeah, and then I thought it was I'm not even a paying customer, and they replied right away.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty interesting.
I thought that was really, really handy as well. I congratulate them for that kind of customer service response, because it was pretty quick for me too.
Let's see here. Show you their response real quick. Okay. Right here. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was their response. Sorry for the inconvenience. They were real cordial. They let me know to whitelist, and so I did. I tried whitelisting. Guess what? That didn't work. It still would not work. Then they let me know. It looks like Avast and AVG fixed this now. And that was, you see, that was at 12:24 a.m. and about an hour before that, I was talking with them.
Yep. Yeah, it was relatively the same scenario with me, and they were pretty quick about it.
So yeah,
overall,
so
I've heard sporadic, complaints here and there about everyone having to switch over from Google Hangouts to StreamYards. We've all been quite familiar and comfortable using Google Hangouts for a year or so now, and so making a changeover is always difficult, and obviously people are going to notice problems, but for the most part, as far as our overall community is concerned, I think that a transition into StreamYard has been relatively pain-free and rather easy. I happen to like the software. I know it's got some things and some features that people would like to see fixed or modified a little bit, and that's fine. The more people that use the platform, the more feedback that they'll get, and the more, obviously, the more customers they'll have, the better able they'll be to serve those customers. So hopefully it's been starting out as a wonderful program to switch over from, relatively user-friendly for, as far as everybody's concerned. And so we can only hope that things get better from here. But I'm with you on the speculation part of it, as far as nefarious business, but I can also take into the consideration that perhaps it's growing pains too.
Yeah, it's my opinion that something definitely fishy was going on, because it felt very targeted to me. That's how it felt. And it's opinion. Take it for what it's worth.
Well, I mean, it's not a like they say, it's not paranoia if it's true. Our community faces a variety of different assaults, even people that cross over the Indosphere from, say Comicsgate, for example, or other satellite type of communities. Any kind of overlap. I mean, there's people facing harassment. Their social media accounts are being shut down. Being harassed off of platforms or being forced to use particular platforms. We have a case of a contributor of Bleeding Fool a few weeks ago who suffered the same sorts of personal attacks and real life attacks. This is a rather well-known female figure in our community, and to have her restricted in that way is quite damaging to her as far as her exposure and her own platforming, but it's also a decrease in the voice that we have as a community, because it removes one of our most powerful voices. And so these things are intentional, and we know, people have said before, when you start running into resistance to something that you're doing, you must be going in the right direction. So
doing something right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know that, people are suffering attacks for standing up for what they believe in, and for, standing up for freedom of expression. But, we got to remember too, that that's not free. And it does cost some of our community members, in their ability to be able to continue to remain with us by their stance of standing up for freedom of expression and speech. So we all just have to keep in mind that we should keep, supporting each other and maintaining that spirit of our community, because people out there want us to shut up.
So yeah, so the other day, the 19th, I noticed this by Bounding Into Comics, rumor, Disney remaking almost whole movie of Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. New rumor indicates Disney and Lucasfilm are remaking almost all Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. The rumors come from the YouTuber Doomcock, and he's been right on. Doomcock details a rumor that received from a source. Star Wars, I have Star Wars, they are still shooting. They were having to remake almost the whole movie, as what they tested, as the movie was a complete pile of flopping shite. So yeah, and Doomcock adds, this is not some kind of casual 2-week reshoot. This is almost a 75% remake. They shot the thing, so there were 6 possible main edits, and even then, there was no way to put it together that would not have flopped. He continues. Jar Jar Abrams said this film will not please everyone. Disney flipped out and said this film has to please everyone and redo it until it does, if they cannot get it to perform in tests. This is the end of this particular reboot. Yeah, we may as well just call it a reboot at this point because of what they did to the OG characters. What are your feelings on that, Mike?
I think that JJ began with a unplanned pile of crap. It was handed off to you-know-who to basically give it a death blow. And now, for some strange reason, the same man that sent us into mystery box hell is the one that's being touted as the one that's going to save it all. And I don't know if I believe that shooting is actually still going on like right now. A couple of weeks ago, perhaps. But as far as right now, I'm not sure if I can believe that. there's a heck of a lot of post-production that would have to be done in 62 days, 61 days. I don't really think that there's enough time for that. I do think that it's being run by committee, and I do believe that the pre-screening crowd that's looked at it has been horrified, and that's why this.
Well, you there? Uh-oh, we lost Mike. Where'd you go, Mike? Well. Yep. So, basically, it just feels like a huge nostalgia sandwich that they're giving us. Pretty much. So, yeah. Let's get back over to that article. Got way too many tabs open. Okay. Yeah, Mike totally dropped out there. Wonder he's got some weather going on over there. All right. Let's get back to it. So, Doomcock adds that the source tells him that they have sold the film in reference to massive reshoots that Solo, a Star Wars story, had. So, as to what the problem with the film might be, Doomcock source speculates, I suspect, the movie having problems with trying to force too much plot into film, and now they have the problem. They are having to consider splitting this thing into two movies. Are they going to do what they did with The Matrix? Because I remember the third Matrix movie, at the end of the movie, all of a sudden, you got to go see a fourth one? Or was that the second one? Anyway, I feel like it's the same trick. I hope they don't do that. I hope they don't do that. That would not be fun. Let's go over here. Well, we just have to keep an eye on when Mike gets back in. So we have this. Alleged Star Wars: A Rise of Skywalker leaks detailed changes made in reshoots, October 22nd. That's today. Alleged Star Wars: A Rise of Skywalker leaks detail the changes made in reshoots by Lucasfilm and Disney. The leaks come from Instagram user Bespin Bulletin, based off of Reddit leaks from user Jedi Paxis. List of reshoots, changes, and updated information regarding the Rise of Skywalker plot, which Paxis is rebooting. Comments are disabled. Hashtag Star Wars, hashtag episode 9, hashtag Star Wars episode 9. Yeah, a lot of hashtags in there. Bespin Bulletin first reports that reporter Luke and Leia training scene that was originally supposed to appear in the beginning of the movie has either been cut or moved. The beginning of the film will now take place on planet Exegol, or is that just Shigol? Tore that word up. And we'll see a fleet with star destroyers rise up from the ground. Could have swore I saw one rise up out of the water, too. There are also reports that alleged Oracle scene with Kylo Ren has been removed. Instead, he will now come across a chest that contains an object called the Wayfinder. Kylo will also experience some kind of flashback where he hears the voices of Luke and Han Solo before hearing Palpatine call out to him. They have also apparently toned down Kylo Ren's savagery when it comes to killing natives of the planet where the chest is located. As for Rey's training on the Forest planet, she will apparently be attempting to communicate to Jedi who have become one with the Force and is training her mind and body to do so. Like Luke on Dagobah, Rey will become frustrated with her training and even chop down a tree that falls on BB-8. She will attempt to communicate with Luke, but will fail. She will also attempt to give Leia Luke's old lightsaber. When Kylo Ren first confronts Emperor Palpatine, Kylo will be angry and even threatens Palpatine. Threatens Palpatine. Interesting. There we go. Mike's back. There we go. Hey, Mike.
Hey, bud.
Glitches.
Are we
Yeah, I can hear you.
Glitching, yeah.
Yeah, we're still alive.
Good.
Let's see here. Let's go back.
Yeah, a wonderful thing about these beacon devices that we keep hearing about, all these secret locator devices that fill in all these plot holes so very nicely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's either that or a time machine. I mean, isn't that how you fix things when everything's all screwed up? I mean, I was worried that they were going to bring the time travel issue in, and that may still be a possibility. There's been other leaks that we've heard about. I tend to believe the Stephanie Janisek philosophy that the act of freezing beings in carbonite is not only just a way to preserve them, but it's also a way to shield them from force probing and force sensitivity type of thing. And so that's a mechanic that exists in the Star Wars universe that I think is underrepresented or considered. And
hey, Chris Spurs is in the house.
Nice. Hail, Chris.
Hail, Chris. How you doing? Let me see something. Let's do.
And good evening to Thomas as well. Just saw Thomas Gilpin was the first one in this evening. Good evening, Thomas. Hail to you.
Now, I know I got something over here. Where'd it go?
Well, the thing that we were seeing also that John Talks was hearing about this morning, I think it was earlier around 10 or 11 this morning, John Talks came on and he was showing some of the scenery, some of the shots that had been done by Abrams that are basically, I think the comment that he made was something along the lines of he copies so much stuff, he doesn't even realize he's copying his own stuff now. And there is a picture that John compared, a scene from Force Awakens where Finn is running through I guess it's the wreckage outside of Maz Kanata's bar. And, you've got the dead stormtroopers and the little flaming piles of rubble and all this sort of thing. And he comes running down screaming as Rey is being taken away by Kylo Ren. Right. And now in this scene, apparently it's Kamino, or at least that's the illusion, this water planet, that it's Kamino, with the remnants of this Death Star, the second Death Star apparently that they're fighting on, that everybody keeps seeing in the trailer. That there's a scene as they begin to do their fight. There's a scene of Finn running down the wreckage in the same posture with the same action in his body, the same scene recreated effectively, except one is kind of a desert battleground. The other one is a water scene. Essentially, they're the same shot. I'm pretty sure for $25 a ticket and $230 million budget, I mean, how many flaws are we going to start looking at? Like, J.J. Abrams is supposed to be a world-class director. If I bought a comic book with 28 pages in it and somebody copied and pasted panel 2 from page 1 into panel, 6 in page 27, I'm pretty sure I would notice, and I'm pretty sure I would feel ripped off that an artist who I paid for the book can't even, create his own shots for the movie. Like, having Force Awakens things done twice by the same guy, I mean, I know they're under pressure. I know they're in a rush. I know that people are unhappy, but I'm sure that even the unhappy fans for example, in The Phantom Menace, if Disney said, you know what, we're taking a year off, we're going to get everything in order, and we're going to come back to you with a product that really makes a difference, I think that everybody would be satisfied with something like that. But of course, ramming everything through as fast as you possibly can to get it over with, well, I think that's what we're in store for.
And do ideas.
So I think that John has a point in that regard.
Yeah, he does. I was John was live last night, and I was checking out what he had to say.
Mm-hmm.
And and he was having technical issues too. Because when he first came on live, couldn't see it. It was just a blank gray screen. But he was live. It's obvious it was live. It was going, but it just, it wasn't working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's like I said, also there's a possibility that StreamYard wasn't prepared for 80 million users. You know what I mean? Like there's a possibility.
Huge one.
So, I will put this up though. Speaking of some of our friends out in the community for today and things that were posted in regards to the trailer, here's a shot that Itchy Baka had put up a little bit earlier. I want to make sure that I mention Itchy. He's one of our good collaborators and historical archivist for our community, and someone that keeps good records and helps us every day with our information and the gathering of such. So I just want to make sure I mention Itchy. But he put this one out today, and I mean, we can talk about this shot for a moment if you can.
There we go.
You can put that one up for us. This is a shot. Sorry.
I'm trying to get Chris Perza wrenched.
Oh, I see.
Because it was like, he's not wrenched. I had
Hold
him
on.
wrenched.
Hold on, Chris. We're coming.
I had him wrenched, but somehow it got changed. There we go.
And so, in any case, the theory has been thrown around since we saw the giant picture of the fleet of Star Destroyers that are apparently planet killers for each of them. And you've heard the comments thrown around. Well, okay, now JJ's the more is less or something, and thinking that, well, we like Star Wars. What's better than Star Wars? More Star Wars. And so you just throw in 50 million Star Destroyers, and it's got to be 10 times better, right? Just like everybody loved the Star Killer base. And Shelley really has a point when he says, do you know how much work it would be to excavate the equator of a planet just so you can install a big gun? I mean, that seems rather...
You're wrenched now, Chris.
Congratulations.
Well, he was wrenched before, and somehow it got taken out.
Well...
Really freaking weird.
Congratulations. Anyways,
yes.
pop this shot up for us for a second, Bear, if you could, please.
Okay, where are you at? Okay.
Now, this one here, like I was saying, our friend Ichibaka put this up today, and he said, caption, please. And, of course, mine is, well, there's everything in there but the kitchen sink. But, of course, JJ threw that in there, too.
My God, it's just like, it's a smorgasbord of ships.
So I really... How
are they not running into each other?
Well, it's not just that. I mean, I like the technology of Star Wars, well, and Star Trek as well. But I mean, I like the technology. I like the ship craft.
Oh man, me too.
I like all of that detailed stuff. But the thing is, it's crammed into such a small space that I can't appreciate any one thing. It just looks like a pile of crap. And like you're saying, if this was real ships, where do they have space to move? How do they have space to turn? What if there's an emergency? What if they have to
because when there's not deflector shields on, they touch each other. It's like they break real easy.
Ooh. Look at that great big ball of swarm of danger coming towards us. Why don't we just send a giant laser beam right into the middle of that? I don't know where we might find a giant laser beam. Maybe a dreadnought, maybe all these Star Destroyers, maybe maybe there's another Death Star hiding around that moon. But why would they clump themselves together? And forget about that. Where did all these ships come from? I thought there was like 4 rebels left alive on Crate after the battle, when Rey was lifting her rocks and stuff. I mean, well, not enough to fill the Falcon. So who's flying all these ships? I don't get it. Where did this rebellion come from? Is this the new resistance? They just come out of nowhere? I don't understand. If they had this much fleet capability, why did what happened before the Battle of Crate even happen? Like, this doesn't solve any problems, JJ. This brings a whole raft of new ones. Again, the question remains from Force Awakens.
It creates a story loophole.
Oof.
It puts a hole in the plot, literally. It's like, okay, they weren't there, all these ships for the rebellion, quote unquote rebellion, and or the resistance. They love to change stuff, you know, with this modern Disney Star Wars stuff.
Oh yeah.
So where were all these ships before when they were calling for help?
Well,
I mean, they called for help, but no one answered. But all of a sudden, they got these ships now.
Yeah, and we can go to Canto Bight and get a completely useless character who only exists to betray everybody else in the whole movie, which is it's nonsensical. And instead, they could have went and actually found out, hey, there's a secret fleet hiding, behind the, out.
Even Chris Persia says, even disregarding the lack of personnel, where did the funds for all those new ships come from? Yeah. There are literally too many plot holes in JJ's patchwork finale. I agree. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. And this is true.
It's like, where's all this stuff coming from? Number one, the economic wherewithal to purchase it. Two, the manpower.
And
and the third thing is getting A to B to C.
Yeah. I thought we had a fuel problem, right? You know what I mean? I thought we had a fuel problem. Now all of a sudden everybody's all charged up and ready to go. It's strange. It's strange. And I saw another part of the trailer. Like the Y-Wing is my favorite Rebel craft. For some strange reason, I witnessed a Y-Wing behaving like a fighter craft. I mean, I understand it's a fighter bomber, but flipping and dancing around like an A-Wing, attacking a Star Destroyer. I mean, can we get real here? Like, are they doing things specifically to irritate? Like, that's what it looks like. Like, they know that the nitpicky things, you can't do that in Star Wars. You can't do that in Star Wars. Like, they know that those things to get people riled up about are bad enough. Well, I mean, maybe not bad enough, because those are the kinds of little intricacies that kind of get the fandom talking and arguing with each other in the good ways, talking about the details of ships or capabilities of this and that. Those are the interesting and the fun fan-based conversations that should be going on, the arguments that should be happening. But instead, we have this us and them mentality instead. And this just throws more of the same garbage in there, because now there's not even a possibility to be able to examine anything. There's some interesting looking craft in there. There's one that's looking a little familiar from one of our Disney era Star Wars cartoons that people have been questioning, and that's a possibility as well. Maybe the Ghost is in there. We don't know.
Do you see any Easter egg type stuff in there?
I see Corvettes with different paint jobs, I see X-Wings and a lot of single-seater fighter aircraft that don't have any hyper space yokes. As long as they're around capital ships for the jump, I can't see any issue. But again, with all of this mess, jumping into one space, why isn't wherever they're coming to, I would just literally open up with everything you have. You're going to hit something, probably everything. That's a very dangerous place to be. They don't have any military or naval advisors on their staff. This much is apparent, because this is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's like a junkyard. It's not a fleet. It's a floating junkyard.
I mean, any experienced naval person that's been in the Navy would look at all that and be like, there's a whole bunch of stuff wrong with that.
Yeah, it rips you out of the illusion. I understand they're looking at the final scenes of The Last Jedi. I understand this is a recreation of that exact same scene where Lando's flying in with the fighters. And I get it. It's an exciting scene. It's very inspirational. It's an awe-inspiring spectacle. It absolutely is. But by cramming 50,000 more ships into the same scene, you're not doing anything any justice at all. Not the previous shoot or this shoot to try to recreate it in whatever study he appears to be doing here, because he's obviously not capable of doing his own work. All he does is recreate the work of others and his own work when he doesn't have anything else to fall back on. And this is not what we consider to be or should consider to be a world-class director. I'm really getting tired of these people being touted as the best in the world. How can that be? How can that be?
I mean, look at the space between all these ships.
Yeah.
It's like they made all these things. It's like, well, we have to get all this together so we can get all of them in this shot.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, is this one of those things where we're never going to see this scene in the movie? This was just for the clip, or, you know?
It could very well be. But, you know, I was watching the special features for Troy, okay? And they're working off of the real Odyssey. And when they calculated chapter by chapter all of the chieftains who arrived with their armies and the amounts of ships they had brought and transports and everything else, they found there's like thousands of ships. And, you know, when you think back, you know, 3,500 years ago, that, you know, something like this moving across the Eastern Mediterranean, a lot of naval people would say, okay, well, that's wonderful to say, you know, we got 1,000 ships, but where's all the wind? How do they not, you know, stop each other's wind? How do they not, you know, how do they maneuver? Like, you can't, it would have taken months just to land all those boats. And so it was really interesting because in the special features, the directors told the CGI department, okay, make me a fleet of 1,000 ships that's coming to Troy. I want to see it, you know, what it looks like on the sea. And just the CGI people, they couldn't put that many ships in the shot and even make it credible or believable. Just, it just looked like a pasty mess. Like, you couldn't even pick out the resolution of the details. It was just too much. So when you watch the movie 300, even though in the story it's supposed to be 1,000 ships, there's probably only about 250. And even that looks mega, you know? So it served the purpose in the movie. Most people wouldn't realize it's not 1,000 ships. It's only about 200. But I mean, that just goes to show you size matters, and you don't really, you know, cram that many vehicles into one shot. It's ridiculous, really.
So let's get back to this article. It's basically, when Kylo Ren confronts Emperor Palpatine, Kylo will be angry, even threatens Palpatine. However, the Emperor will be undeterred by Kylo Ren. He doesn't refute that he died on the Death Star, but he also mocks Kylo Ren's let the past die ideas. Wow. He's mocking Kylo Ren, let the past die ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, I've always felt that let the past die, when he said that, it was a metaphor aimed at us.
Oh, yes.
Like the Disney direction with Star Wars.
It absolutely is. And look at one of the final scenes that you see in the trailer, where Rey and Emo are standing in the second Death Star throne room. What are they, you know, like, I think to myself, and it's a beautiful shot, don't get me wrong, you know, the wreckage and everything, it kind of gives illusions, you know, to wreckage. There you go. You know, wreckage that we remember, for people that were old enough to remember 20 years ago. It's a very impactful scene. We know that the whole history and legacy has been destroyed. We know everything's in tatters. So for us out here who feel badly about how things have gone, this is a very powerful shot, and I think it is very beautiful. Here's the point, though. Let the past die, sure, unless you have to bring it back up to the shot for a second.
Oh, there's the space horses everyone's been talking about.
But like they said, let the past, bring it back up to that throne room shot again for a sec. Let the past die is what they keep saying. Yeah, let the past die until we need to haul it up for nostalgia again, right? It's okay to use that moniker to mock us, but when they need it to sell a trailer for Monday Night Football, they've got no trouble pulling out the second Death Star, do they? I mean, how much more nostalgia can you get?
It's kind of a hypocritical thing to do, you know?
It absolutely is. And I mean, they might think we're ignorant savages out here, but we're not stupid. We know what hypocrisy is. But yeah, the space horses. Are we seriously going to see these things running on a Star Destroyer? Like, seriously? Really?
Let's see. View image.
Like I said in one of my...
Oh, there we go. Look at that.
Isn't that awesome? Like I said in one of my memes, I think the Westworld extras.
Hey, hello, Overall Nation.
You see all the Westworld extras that are riding behind Finn there? I mean, those Westworld extras must be really confused for the set they're on. Like, my word. Are we in the right picture?
Like, hey, Orville, you want to come on?
Like, did anybody hear the story of the Second World War where the Polish cavalry attacked the German tanks because they thought they were made of cardboard? Like, is anyone getting the illusion of futile here? What are you running with flesh and blood horses against laser beams? Like, Honest to God. I guess Rose Tico, like,
Chris
honest.
Perza, they said nostalgia's toxic, yet they bank on it to sell their tickets.
Yeah. You want to know why they're space horses? Because they ran out of CGI money. Because ILM said, we're not doing any more of your stupid shit. Go put some fucking blankets on those horses and get out of here. That's what they said.
It's very possible.
We're not paying for this crap anymore. You go put some
Right.
blankets, hairy costumes on those horses,
Let
and
me,
get your stuff right there and film that scene.
Get him a link. Orville wants to come on.
Awesome.
All right, I gotta do something real quick.
Yeah, Attack of the Space Horses. Who knows, if they put on a good show in that scene there, they'll be able to, you know, maybe get in as extras during Bree's new Gandalf reboot. Because, you know, as soon as those two wonderful old fellas are done, we're going to have to destroy their legacy too, right?
All right, links DM to you, Orville Nation.
And so, yeah, everybody's been talking about the new trailer today, obviously. Lots of things to talk about. Some C-3PO business there. You know, we talk about Lando having just enough of a cameo in the trailer to, you know, tell everybody that he's in the movie. We got
Pretty much.
We got some retro conversation of the situation. Well, you know, he was supposed to be in Phantom Menace, but, you know, he was not in very good health. And, you know, Final was talking about that the other day, and that could very well be a possibility. But they could have told us something like that 2 years ago when we complained about it. If that was the case, you know, they could have just said, no, we wanted to have Billy, but he's just not well, guys. And you know what the fandom would have said? Oh, right?
Yeah.
But what did they give us instead? Speculation, rumor, gossip, outrage, clicks, hate. Oh, okay. Well, that'll work. Yeah. But I mean, it'll be good to see him finally. It was good to see him sitting on the stage with the rest of the cast, obviously. But I, for one, feel like everybody else, when 3PO turns around and says, I'm looking at my friends, well, okay, where are they?
That's a good capture of the throne room right there.
Isn't it, though?
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, cinematically, it better look good. I mean, the script is crap, obviously. The plan, there is no plan. So, like, the whole concept is crap because there is no concept. But the people that work in costume, the people that work in CGI, the people that are on the ground that do the bread and butter, the real work at Lucasfilm and Pinewood every day, you can see these people are doing their jobs. Our question now becomes, why aren't the people that are overseeing these wonderful creators, why aren't they doing their job? Because you can see it looks tremendously gorgeous, and I'm proud of that. But sadly, you can't put a pile of sprinkles and a bow on a bowl of shit and call it a bowl of rice. You know, like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Let's see here.
We should see what the other fellows are doing. Maybe finals around, or is he still on the road, I wonder?
Was he driving somewhere?
I'm not sure. I can send him a note and see. Orville, you coming in or what, bud?
Shot the link over to him.
Cool. Maybe he's just getting set up.
Probably.
But yeah, the Space Horses. I mean, I have a screenshot here. I think it was.
Yeah, this is Mark Hamill perfectly sums up new Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker trailer in one word. This came out earlier today.
You got that one to post up, do you?
Yeah. Can you see it?
Thanks.
Here.
Yeah, you just gotta pop it up. Should be good. I'll take this. I'll take this one down. Yeah, and so I do also have that other screenshot of the scene that John Talks was speaking about a little bit earlier.
go.
And this is the scene.
Let's see. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker final trailer is now out, and it has given the Star Wars fandom a major shot in the arm. Yeah, of what? Warm water with a little salt in it?
Yeah.
Called saline. When it comes to generating buzz and hype for Episode 9's release, The Rise of Skywalker dominated the trending section of various social media platforms after its debut of Monday Night Football and inspired several key figures from the Star Wars franchise to weigh in, including Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill. After seeing the final trailers of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker for himself, Hamill shared a reaction that sums so much about this franchise in blessedly few words. Check out Mark Hamill's one-word reaction to the Star Wars Rise of Skywalker final trailer. Always. Really, so you want us to go to a completely different page to find out what he said. You won't get the full meaning of Hamill's always reference. What? That was all he said? Always? Always.
Yeah.
So this waste of an article is just always. Wow. All right.
That isn't. Yeah. Well, I mean, like we were saying the other day, in another year and a half, when the end, all the NDAs expire, hopefully we'll be able to have a situation where somebody can tell us just exactly what the hell went on here.
So, what is that? So what is that picture of?
Now, that is the top picture is the Force Awakens shot that I was speaking to earlier. And the bottom shot is the new shot from Episode 9. And so he has it made into a GIF. If you go to John Talk's Twitter feed from earlier this morning, I think around 10 a.m., you'll see he has it set up as a GIF, and it shows you the movement that Finn does through both of these shots. And they are effectively the same shot, the same action by the actor, virtually identical in every regard, except one is a sandy battleground and the other one is a water battleground. That's the only difference. And like I said, for a sequence that probably lasts about 45 seconds, most people would say, who gives a crap? Well, divide 230 million that it cost to make the movie and tell me what 45 seconds costs. Well, to me, JJ ripped Disney and us off for whatever that 45 seconds is worth. Like, we don't have to talk about women hating. We don't have to talk about nothing. We can talk about cheap, unprofessional work. Okay, that's what we can talk about. And, we can just keep it to that. And it makes no difference. The way the both movies of the past, Return of the Jedi and Episode 9 that's coming out, the way they've been handled, and that's what we have, and that's why everybody's upset. I mean, Midnight's Edge said it best when they said, these things
Orville
are.
Nation, I DM'd you the link.
Midnight's Edge said it the best when they said, these things are truly run like hedge funds.
Check your Twitter DM, Orville Nation.
Just switch hedge fund managers for, executive managers and switch, the actors for the traders. And I mean, it's effectively the same operation that's going on. And they don't think about it in terms of creation anymore. They think of it in terms of dollars and cents and money. And I guess in a sense they do, but those that have the money
Chris Purz to point something out. I thought it was Carrie that said always. Mark said the Force will be with you. So Mark was parroting what Carrie said?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe he wanted to finish his own line. Maybe. Who knows the cryptic things that get put out? We could read between a million lines if we wanted to, but I don't know. I think that the best comment that he had was from his original tweet from, I think, 2015, when he said, my most memorable line for Luke Skywalker in Force Awakens, and then he just had empty quotation marks. So he was bitter about it for Force Awakens. So, I mean, I don't know. I'd love to see a situation where we found out that the reason that all of this madness has gone on, I had a kind of a fan dream earlier where, Luke met with George the summer of, I think it was 2012, to talk about this new project that George wanted to start. And by October, he had sold it to Disney already. So like it had happened fairly quickly, as far as Mark was concerned, in that kind of, July to October type of a time period.
He seemed pretty rattled when Lucas first sold to Disney.
Yeah, and I had a dream that what actually happened is that George met with them and said, I'm going to release you from all your contractual obligations for your likeness and this and that and everything else. So when Disney wants to get Luke Skywalker back in there, they'll have to negotiate for real with you. And I think that they negotiated in a hard negotiation that Hamill wanted. And they said, yeah, sure, that's what we'll do. And then they only minimalized everything about him in the whole movie so that they wouldn't have to pay him anything for anything. So it's maybe not a paying out for George. Maybe it's a paying out for Mark, because he is the true hero of the galaxy that everybody wants to see. And they've effectively cut him out. We can see that. So I don't know. It was a weird dream, but, who knows what's going on with all these weird like the Spider-Man business between Sony and Marvel. I mean, my God, it has to be 40% different in this way. And like, no wonder things are so messed up when properties are allowed to be fractured like this. I mean, for independent creators out there, there's a few of us out there that are working on these sorts of things together. Everyone has to keep control of their product. Don't sell your products to court. I mean, it may sound like a quick buck, but this is what happens when you allow parasites to control your creations,
Yeah, corporate monster gobbling up everything within its sight and its reach.
Like,
it's like the dark hand of the Dark Lord reaching out from our favorite genres of stories, gobbling what we love, so we can't have it no more or something,
And that's a very strange thing about the activist people that we have confronting us every day that want to make this new utopian kind of more socialistic world, which, I can understand the positive aspects of that, but to destroy the world through authoritarianism and supporting the largest global media conglomerate on the planet, how are you fighting for the common man when you're working for the man? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me, Like, maybe I'm just an old school punk. And, when I was in the 90s, growing up, if you were a fascist or a communist, we hate all of you. Like, we're free people in the middle, and we want to speak and express ourselves. And if you want to tell us how to think or what to do, you can fuck off, Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just old school.
Yeah, so far I've been tracking basically directors and screenwriters who have basically been speaking outside of the Disney narrative.
Yeah.
And
there's a few that are starting.
The one was the creative for Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, Kurt, what's his last name? Yeah, he had issues with HR at Disney. No kidding.
Hail Orgo Nation.
I think Disney has issues with HR at Disney. Okay, I really do.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Hey guys, how you doing?
How you doing? Just talking about these things that just been going on just blows our minds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who is Bear? Who else is on with us? Who else is on with us?
Mike, introduce yourself.
This is Mike. I'm working with Stephen on the Phantom Menace project, and I'm also a contributor over at Bleeding Fool.
Okay, nice to meet you, Mike.
Nice to meet you too, bud.
My name is PJ, by the way, guys.
PJ, very nice to meet you.
All right, there's this. I'm pulling up a link to this one article because the son of Guns creative Kurt Sutter, he was fired over his backlash.
Yeah,
and so I've been looking for directors and screenwriters and stuff like that have been stepping outside the normal narrative of Hollywood lately. And so I found a few. Kurt was the first one I found. Actually, the second one I found was the director, Three Billboards director Martin McDonough blasts Hollywood's bland PC filmmaking. And this was back in January 2018. And you haven't heard a word or a peep since this guy complained. Basically, let me make sure this is shared. There we go. All right, let's go. Where'd it go? All right. Apparently, it unshared itself.
Nice.
Thanks for the invite, by the way, Bear Bear.
Hey, no problem.
And so, did you watch the Orville? Did you watch the trailer during the actual game time, or did you watch it on YouTube afterwards, or how did you end up checking it out?
I watched it in a couple of seconds or minutes after it just dropped on YouTube. I was watching. Who was I watching? I was watching John Talks, and we were kind of watching it together.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting that I had technical difficulties yesterday during Final Death Star's review when we were live. John, later on that evening, he had problems because his whole screen was blank and gray, and he had problems with his sound.
Yeah.
And I immediately contacted this guy here. He was the first to complain. Yeah, and I contacted StreamYard, and they replied really fast. And I just thought it was interesting that their customer service, even though I'm not a paid customer for them, they were right there on top of it. And they were, from what I understand, they pretty much was contacting Avast and AVG because it was basically their website was blocked because of phishing. And my Avast, and then I uninstalled Avast and I installed AVG, same thing. And even after I whitelisted,
they're both owned by the same company.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, it's the same stuff. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, did you do any live streams yesterday, PJ?
No, I didn't. I'm going slow. I want to try to get things like squared away because last week when we did our first live stream, it wasn't smooth. So, no. What did you guys think about the trailer?
You can go ahead first if you want, Bear.
Bunch of nostalgia, man. It's like it's the fish and the hook, the worm, and I don't know. They didn't really show us much more than what they've already shown us. And pretty much to me, the way I feel, if Luke's dead, they done destroyed it.
Well, yeah, it's already. Jeremy
Luke should be alive. If they want to save any kind of face in this movie, Luke's alive. And now they're trying to show it. They're trying to show us that Rey is going through struggles and this. Why didn't they show us that to begin with? You know, they could have showed us that struggle from day one, but they didn't.
Well, no, they know we've complained about it, so now they're like, "Well, see, we listened to you. See."
Now all of a sudden, Rey's having a hard time talking to Force ghosts.
It's a scramble. It's obviously a scramble. And look, we were saying this a little bit earlier, gentlemen. Does anybody here old enough to remember that people used to buy tickets to go to see a Star Wars trailer? They didn't even see the movie that the trailer was for. They just went and watched the trailer and then walked out. Does anybody remember that's how excited we used to be for Star Wars?
Absolutely. Yeah.
What is going on, Disney?
And then they go ahead and they make the Sith Homeworld Core Band canon again.
Of course they would, because the guy who wrote about that is probably dead and they don't have to pay his family. That's about how that worked out, I bet you. I bet they just got lucky on that one. You know, it's like Jar Jar Abrams already
Kevin J. Anderson was the author.
Oh, he's still alive, I think, isn't he?
Yeah.
But I mean, Jar Jar ripped off Droids. Are you guys old enough to remember the Droids cartoon?
Yeah.
It's Kybo Ren and Kira. It's Kybo Ren and Kira. They go and look. It's ridiculous. JJ is pure ripoff.
Droids was something I really didn't watch.
Well, I'm gonna see if I can find a screenshot for you because it's ridiculous. I mean, there's a 6-year-old kid could look at that and I'll show you a picture. A 6-year-old kid's gonna look at it and go, "That's Rey." No, sorry, sweetheart, that's Kira. No, that's Rey. No, it's Kira.
Oh, that's funny. Hey, Super Channel Awesome Time is in the chat. Hail.
Yeah, here we'll find Droids cartoons, Kybo Ren.
Yeah, I never really watched Droids. I always heard of it, but maybe it was because it was more geared toward kids.
Yeah, I was aware. I didn't watch it either.
All right, so I'm just gonna.
I did like the Clone Wars animation.
Put this up for a sec, Bear.
Let's see, where is it at?
There you go. The Revenge of Kybo Ren, a space pirate. Oh my goodness, who could that be?
No way. He copied it.
Who could that be? Oh my goodness. Who could that be? Seriously? JJ? Like this is Force Awakens crap here, people.
Wow.
Like do you understand what we're saying here? Like this guy does not deserve to have the title of a world-class director and writer. This man is a ripoff artist.
You should make a video just on that image.
Yeah.
I made a meme of this whole scenario, including his remarks on the scenario in 2016. And we can certainly make a video on it, but this is pure theft. Like, look at this.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right? Like, these people have taken...
it doesn't look much changed, does it?
No, it doesn't at all. And these people have taken not only the fandom, but their investors and everyone else for a enormous ride. Look at this. This is, I bet you the person whose intellectual property this belongs to, the artists here, because I don't know if it was under Lucasfilm's banner when it was sold or not. But I bet you that these artists and the people who created these stories for Lucas back in '82, I don't think they've been compensated for this.
Oh, wow.
All right.
I've never seen that before. No, I mean,
me neither.
Realize.
Like I told everybody, I was mad after The Force Awakens, and I had one of my Niobe comics. My friend Larry was in a stream. We invited in to talk to Stephen one night, and like they were asking, what's this business about Mike walking out of The Last Jedi? Because nobody believes me. And Larry
Super
said,
Channel Awesome Time says, "Wow, all that material, and he went with droids."
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, what's your handle in YouTube?
Well, I don't have a YouTube channel, but it's.
Or you're on Twitter. What's your Twitter?
It's at 60Recce, and I know it's Mubarius now, sweetheart. See, as per the cyber attacks that most of us have been suffering the last few weeks, I'm locked out of all my main accounts. This will be my first public announcement to that effect. So I'll send you my other Twitter that I'm using for a backup now. I guess I'll send that to you in private.
Okay.
But I can thank whoever's in Ajax, Ontario for compromising my main account. So thank you, Ajax, Ontario, if you're listening.
That sucks. Sorry.
There.
So yeah, some odd things going on for sure.
Yeah.
I thought it was very one of those coincidences that isn't a coincidence.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's what's that meme that I had? So like when people say, I hear in Collider or whoever, we're going to talk about Collider in a little bit here too. But when I hear from, the typical shill sites, JJ's coming to save the day. Look, I've had gripes with this guy since the first 10 minutes of Force Awakens. So I hear that kind of thing and I'm like, yay, I don't know. What are we looking?
Super Channel Awesome said it's the first time they've seen this as well.
Yeah, well, it's
And I don't even think they air this cartoon no more, do they?
No,
Anywhere?
I suppose what we should do is, I have them all on the hard drive. I suppose what we should do is we should have a droids party every Saturday morning, shouldn't we, Bear? Shouldn't we? Just like the good old days.
So what year was this cartoon made?
Ran for 2 seasons, 82 and 83. It was the kind of
Yeah.
was the carryover to maintain the hype in between Empire and Jedi. And it certainly did, because we had C-3PO cereal and we had friggin' droids, and well, Star Wars was our whole generation was just raised on all that. I remember all that.
And they completely tore it down for us and basically shat all over it.
Well, like I said on the stream that we did with Jeremy on Geeks and Gamers, it was painful for me, but really what upset me was that I wanted to enable that experience to be able to begin to happen for my little boy. And it wasn't necessarily for me, and maybe it was to vicariously live through him again. I don't know, but he certainly wouldn't have suffered for the experience like I had of having that wonder and that imagination and that kind of play environment and positive interaction with actual physical toys instead of electronics. And I don't know. It was weird. I didn't feel satisfied for my child. That was for sure. It wasn't worth my $50.
What did you guys notice? I don't know if you guys are, how much of a Trekkies you guys are, but the whole ship hiding in the ocean thing was interesting.
Yeah. The Death Star coming out of the water. It's like, didn't you do that in Star Trek with the Kelvin Timeline Enterprise? Yeah.
Well, and I mean, we won't even get into, like, has anybody read the old Star Trek? Well, it was a book originally. I have the audio book, Prime Directive. I don't know if anybody's read any of that old Star Trek, because I'm a big Star Trek fan. It's probably 91 or 92. I'd have to look in one of my, it's packed away in a box, and I don't even have a cassette recorder to play it anymore. Actually, I still have the box set, but I don't have anything to play it in. But it explores a situation where Kirk and Spock are confronted with the situation of the violation of the Prime Directive, and it's actually a much deeper and much more intricate story than the intro they kind of use it for, as a ripoff in that, for example. So if I look across IPs and I look across some of the work that Jar Jar has done pretty much all over our cultural landscape, I see nothing but a fucking snake oil salesman and a ripoff artist, no matter how long I look back and no matter which picture he's worked on. And like I said, everything goes to ILM these days. If you want to make it look good, it goes to ILM, and it should. And of course it's going to look beautiful when it comes out of there. Of course it is. And that's not what we've questioned. These people are the bread and butter people that make our fantasies and our dreams reality. And these are not the people that we're upset with. Look at what they do. They can still take a pile of shit and make it look magnificent. Look at that. I mean, these are the people that we rely on. It's just that these people aren't being listened to anymore either.
Yeah, it seems like they're not listening to anything. And it's like, sure, yeah, opening weekend, you're probably going to make almost close to $1 billion, close to it, maybe slightly less. But just think, if you would have made it great, if you made the story great, $2-3 billion, who knows? But they're not doing that. They don't care about more money, it seems.
I give them 720 million, like domestic European. And China, I have no idea. I think that China is going to reject it like they rejected Solo and The Last Jedi. I think that we're not even going to have viewing times in China past 2 weeks. That's my prediction. So overall, for what matters, about 720 they're going to get. And I think that they're going to last 2 weeks in theaters in China, and then China's going to have enough of it.
Yeah.
Sure.
PJ, did you catch the when I was live with Final Death Star when he was doing the review of the basically it was a live review of the trailer as soon as it hit, and
I didn't. No.
well, I tried posting to the private chat and it wouldn't let me, and then all of a sudden my antivirus went bing ding ding ding, it flagged it, and I closed the window, and after that I couldn't get it back open. And of course, later on, they got it all fixed up. But everybody was having problems that day and that evening.
Mm-hmm.
And the StreamYards was real good about getting it fixed, I gotta say.
That's great. Wow.
And I think it was intentional. We all know who I think it was, but you know.
Okay.
It ain't necessary to say who. We know who did it. Remember, that's our opinions here, folks. Expressing opinions. We're expressing our feelers.
You know, I was commenting on Twitter today about how I thought. I mean, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Anthony Gruber, the young man who played Harrison Ford's role in Age of Adeline.
Oh, yes. That was a wonderful performance.
I think that, you know, just one more thing. I mean, I'm not saying I dislike Alden Ehrenreich, or I'm not sure what his last name is, but this young guy, you know, this Anthony Gruber actor was just so spot on Harrison Ford that it's too bad that you know he didn't get the role just because of some bureaucratic BS at Disney.
You think it was bureaucratic BS, do you?
Well, I think it was. Well, I think it was that, you know, the other actor had you know, just knew somebody, to be honest.
Well, there might be a little bit of truth to that. I mean, I'm just in little old New Brunswick, Canada, far, far, far away. But I heard that he's somebody's girlfriend. I heard he was somebody's girlfriend, and that's why he needed to have a space, and that's why he got one. Family connections, you know. So.
You never know.
Looks like Shellback's going to join us.
Nice.
He just tried joining, but I think he had a bad connection.
Yeah, where he's setting, if he gets set up in the right space in his house, he's got like a brilliant connection. But, you know, if he moves a couple of feet outside of that, it's sort of like my scenario. It turns into like internet hell. You have to stand in your garbage can to get a signal.
That reminds me of the old digital AT&T cell phone days. Can't get a signal, but you're standing on here and you're touching the window frame. It's like, oh, okay, I got a call now. Let's see. Yeah, he tried getting in a minute ago, but there was an error connection on it and it disappeared.
Well, it could very well be that these cyber attackers have compromised my machine, and now through me, you know, they're acting as a vehicle to corrupt all of you.
Well, that's why I have a decent antivirus program. Because it does stop stuff. I mean, we seen how it worked with StreamYards when StreamYards had a false alert with phishing.
It's horrible.
So, wonder what happened to Shellback.
Is he in?
No, he was there a second ago, but there was an error.
Oh, he may try again. Obviously, if he gets
So are
set,
you guys going to be reviewing Mandalorian?
we are.
Yeah, eventually, yeah, get around to it.
I have
Coming up real fast.
Yeah, I'll show you. There's one here. Where was it? Don't remember the one that I don't mess this up meme that I made. I'm looking forward to the Mandalorian. Actually, I'm quite looking forward to Jon Favreau having his hands on something. And of course, we heard, was it last week or the week before, where Filoni came and did an episode.
Yeah.
So I think that it's going to be, overall, I think it's going to be rather good. I did make a meme for the Mandalorian because I am looking forward to it. It's really the only thing. So since Rebels got canceled, and I'm a big Rebels fan. Since Rebels got canceled, it's really the only thing I have to look forward to coming out of Disney. To be honest with you,
I'm thinking that the Mandalorian is going to feel different, but I think it's going to feel good. I think it's going to be, at least it's going to quench our thirst a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're hoping it's their saving grace.
It could be. The only thing, here it is. The only thing I was worried about, like I talked about on another stream, is that the possibility does exist that the experience of Star Wars is going to be diminished. Like, I believe Star Wars, I'm an old school fan, I guess, the old legacy fan, and so Star Wars is an experience, the theater, the weekend, the cosplayers, the whole build up, the festival and the carnival atmosphere outside the theater, like all of it, the morons that camp out for 6 days, like all of it. It's an adventure all in itself, and it's an experience. And I think that by putting it on the small screen, that it's diminishing some of that power that I'm not saying that they shouldn't do it. Like I said, I am looking forward to it. I'm just saying that certainly is a changing of the guard, a moving into a new age for Disney or for Star Wars itself. And that part makes me nervous. Bringing it off of the big screen, it makes me nervous.
Yeah.
But anyways, here's basically what I hope for the Mandalorian. Put that up there.
Hey, I can't read that. Go ahead and read that.
Don't fuck this up. Don't fuck this up. Don't fuck this up. Don't fuck this up. And then the radio comes on and says, "Don't fuck this up." Please don't fuck this up. Please don't fuck this up. Please don't fuck this up.
Oh, that's funny.
So those are my hopes. And like I said, Jon Favreau, awesome actor and creator. Obviously, I've been a fan of his since he worked in PCU, Politically Correct University. Ironically, very funny. Watch. Everyone should go and watch it and check it out. He plays a character named Gutter. Iconic character. And it's really funny because in the serious business that John does these days, it's really hard for me to get this Gutter picture out of the character that he played back then out of my head. So it's always funny to hear him speaking like on behalf of Disney when he speaks on, at a podium formally or something. It's always funny to hear him talk because I remember him as this younger man playing this silly character back in this silly movie with David Spade. So go check that out if you have. It's called Politically Correct University. Put out in 1994. It's Jeremy Piven, David Spade, and of course Jon Favreau. So go check that out.
Yeah, I like David Spade. He's funny.
Yeah.
He's funny when actually he can be in a movie where he's allowed to just be David Spade.
This is actually one of his bitter, sarcastic, cranky little man syndrome type of. He gets to kind of be that snarky self. So it's kind of funny.
PCU,
Politically Correct University.
Yeah.
Back in the day when we used to make fun of all this politically correct stuff to show everyone just how ridiculous it was, and now all of a sudden, for some strange reason, I've stepped out of a time machine and it's become the status quo.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's deliciously ironic. That's all I gotta say. If you've ever imagined
PCU is a movie, huh?
Oh yeah, it's a movie. If you've ever imagined
really familiar.
If you've ever imagined a scene where you've gone onto your campus, cafeteria, and they're having chili dogs and friggin' cheeseburgers that day, and it's, the day you want to go because it's probably like Thursday and it's like a hangover day, and you go to the cafeteria and the vegans have all blocked the cafeteria because they're serving meat that day. If you've ever imagined a scene where you and your shit disturber friends have snuck in the back door, broke into the meat cooler, and fired all the raw meat down onto the protesters, then this might just be the movie for you.
Okay.
It just might be the movie for you.
I always have the image of Favreau when he was Rudy's roommate in the movie Rudy.
Oh, I'd never even realized that before. Shit.
That's him, right?
Roommate.
Yeah, he's the roommate.
It is too. Shit. I never even realized that. That is old business there for sure, isn't it?
Anyone got a photo of that? Let's put that on.
Yeah, let's check and see if we can find something like that.
I hear the
John
name. I hear the name Rudy, and I think of Bill Murray movie.
Which
What am I
one?
drawing? It's the one with the campground. Meatballs.
Okay.
I've done a
Yeah.
review on that. I've done 3 different reviews on that movie. That's one of my favorite all-time movies.
It absolutely is him. Check it out, guys. I didn't even remember. That makes me feel crappy that I didn't remember. Check. There you go. Put that one up there. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. He must only be like 19 or 20 years old there.
Yeah, he's young. Yeah.
Because I know.
That's before Lord of the Rings, huh?
Oh yeah. That's Ashton. That's before. That's after Goonies, obviously, but it's before.
That's like
It's-
92, right?
Yeah, but it's before Encino Man. It's the one he did just before.
Hey,
Encino.
Shellback's here.
There he
Hey,
is.
Shellback. How you doing?
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Muy bien.
Hail Shelly. What's going on, brother?
Oh,
Yeah.
just trying to get educated.
Sound like someone was putting out themselves because they was on fire.
Oh,
He
yeah.
dropped.
I was dusting something off, and then with my cuff, so then I just had to de-dust my cuff.
Yeah, the driving down the road and the cherry or cigarette gets knocked off, and that's what that sounded like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I haven't knocked off a cherry in a while, so
Okay.
sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know. I know.
Is that the roach?
I took it there, but what?
Look at that. What is that, Mike?
Now, hold on, everyone. Now, see, somebody sent me a very strange video today, and I wanted to share this with and get some thoughts from American friends. So, you guys are saying, marijuana has been legalized in Canada and blah 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 blah. I just want to show you some of the effects here. Okay, this was a very strange video that was sent to me today, people. So just bear with me. Let me get this going here. I want to get your opinion, Shelly. So you tell me what you think of this.
Does it involve turtles being eaten?
No.
Okay,
Absolutely not.
Then I love it.
All right. What's this?
What the is it moving?
That's an ant dragging what appears to be a roach.
Oh no, it's a roach. Look at him.
Wow.
And his buddy comes running by. Look, his buddy's like, holy crap. Guy's like, you're not even going to help me? Look what I've got here. It's like 3 pounds. Come back.
He's gonna be the most popular one in the anthill.
You're damn right. Look at that. There's still like a friggin' quarter gram left on that joint.
Is that a soldier ant?
I think so. Look at him.
Part red and black.
There's gonna be a bunch of ants outside knocking on the door going, open up, it's me, Dave. Dave's not here, man. No, it's me, Dave.
Oh, that
Dave's
was
not
funny.
here, man. It's going to be like the whole van, that it's going to be like that van that's like made entirely out of weed from Up in Smoke.
Super Channel Awesome Time says, finders keepers. Hey, nothing like a good ground score.
Yeah.
We call that a ground score.
Yeah.
Now, believe it or not, I have actually
Good night, Chris
never
Berza.
partaken of such a thing. I'm like Bill Clinton. I have never inhaled. Okay.
But see, this brings me back to Jon Favreau, because in PCU, there's a scene that comes up where he goes and hangs out with like the hippie crowd for an afternoon and misses a ride to like a rock show, but he gets really stoned. And later on, there's this cut scene where it's got him superimposed in a session of Congress. And the congressman is like, well, there'd be some people that would drudge up, allegations of, drug use, drug abuse. And he plays the part. He's like, well, Senator, I knew when I was nominated, I knew that it would be bad. I just didn't know that it would be this bad, And, well, do you have anything to say for yourself? And he literally leans into the mic and says, I didn't exhale. No.
Trying to get back in, Shellback. I think you got knocked out or something.
We're all suffering the abuse this week here. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
See, my new thumbnail, of course, explains all of it for those of you that don't know. I mean,
there we go. Glitches and glitches.
Well, no, I was gonna change my avatar, but because Mike, I was like temporarily inspired by Mike, but it's like you gotta sign in or whatever to change your avatar. I'm like, no, screw it. Because I have the same picture of Ryan as my Twitter avatar.
Everybody should.
Oh,
Yeah,
for the rest of this week, everybody needs to run this Ryan.
Well, I even changed my name on Twitter. It was Shellback TJC, aka Hallmark Channel Jeremy. Well, now it's Shellback TJC, aka Pixelated Judgmental Ryan. But it's got that same picture right there.
Now, see, once the week is finished, I'm going to get Bear to blank out his face, and we're going to make an NPC out of him. And then once a year, we're going to have the week of RK, and we're going to put him up, the same way every year as a little celebration. Love Ryan. So next on the agenda, I believe that we had a little bit of Collider news, didn't we, Bear?
Send me the link for that. I got something I'm going to pop up there now.
Oh, okay. You get on that, and I'll pick the other stuff up. Which one are you looking for?
Collider news.
Yeah, we'll have something interesting.
That's almost an oxymoron, isn't it?
Isn't it?
It is.
You certainly would think that it would be, but we actually have something kind of interesting to report from Collider tonight. Actually,
is it like so? It's not like CNN fake news.
It is fake news. It is fake news. But
okay.
it is something that we will be able to get reactions from, because it was put up by one of our wonderful community archivists, Dataracer 117, this afternoon. And once Bear's finished talking about this topic, we'll get on to the Collider news.
That's one thing, though. That's one thing about most of the mainstream media these days.
Right.
And how a lot of it is pretty much fake news. The thing, and used to, when somebody said fake news, they'd think, National Enquirer or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But see, the thing is, these days, I'd rather get a National Enquirer as opposed to watching a lot of the mainstream media, because at the end of the day, you can roll up that National Enquirer, throw it in the freaking wood stove and start a fire with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
You can't do that with
It's
the TV
useful.
network. Right? Yeah, at the end of the day, it's useful.
Potentially useful.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the other people that worked for Disney. And if you notice, this is inside the Magic Kingdom that this article is on. They are Disney centric on this, and I've done some videos before on a couple articles out of here.
Wow. And it's a female.
Yes, and she's been at it for a while. And basically, a screenwriter is tired of strong female characters.
She worked on Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, and Mulan, I believe they said, wasn't it, Bear?
Yeah, and she says basically she's familiar.
The original animated ones, though.
Right?
Yeah. Yes. She
what
also
is
had
it?
a big
Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty, that's what it was, yeah.
And she was responsible for developing Bella into a stout bookworm in Beauty and the Beast. So she's like magnificent when it comes to the writing and stuff and some of the animations that we liked before Disney became ruined.
Woke.
Cool.
They put the woke in woke.
Yeah.
And basically, this is another director that taken a stand, you know? And so that's 3 different creatives in 2 years now.
Well,
and I'm hoping to see more.
So you mean former screenwriter? Because they probably just fired her ass.
That's why if you look at the thumbnail for her in my video I just did on that, the "you're fired" has question marks surrounding it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just hire her for the Orville expanded universe then.
Yeah, exactly. She could probably write some good stuff for the Orville.
She could. I bet. Got to give her a shot. Oh, did Shelley drop again?
He might have pressed the wrong button.
No.
There he is.
There he is. Yeah. When he.
That wasn't me that time.
Shenanigans, I say.
Shenanigans.
All right, let's see here.
Yeah, it was saying that she was also one of the people that was instrumental in developing more of the live action renditions of some of the classic Disney properties as well, I think it was saying.
Infinity Window. You guys see that? Yeah, that.
Could very well be.
Oh, what the fuck?
That's why I put the question marks next to it.
Could be. Who knows? Maybe we've given her too much exposure tonight on our giant channel and she'll get too much exposure for her divergent ideas. All right, puppy.
Well, I hope more creatives start coming out and saying stuff for the sake of good stories. Because, you know, I want well-written stories. Oh, there goes Shellback again. Man, they're messing with us, huh? I want well-written stories. I want to be in, and I don't want the bubble burst with common everyday stuff that's going on out in the world to do with whatever they're going to pander to me. There's Shellback.
God damn it.
And I, like you guys, we don't want to be pandered to. We want to be entertained. Entertain us. That's what I want.
I swear there's a anti-turtlist out there or something keeps kicking me off.
There we go.
It's a paramilitary turtlist that's out to get you, Shelley.
Right?
Dataracer shared this earlier.
Yeah, so what I was saying a little bit earlier, most times we have some pretty crappy news to contend with, or at least argue with or question coming out of Collider for the most part. When Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers was speaking earlier last week about the media turning on Lucasfilm because they can see the writing on the wall, obviously, watch how they flop now as the trend starts to shift. Watch how they basically leave their friends behind and turn their backs on them. For Collider to post something like this, I guess really all I need to say is Well, welcome to the Fandom
Oh,
Menace.
there it is. There's my name. It's another check for Daddy. Does this end or oh, you dropped something. The plot. There's Ray. Whoa, what character development? What an arc for Ray, huh? Jesus Christ, at the end of Empire, he had his hand taken off, and Han Solo was in carbonite or whatever.
What is up with his head? He looks
It's an
like he's
actor.
got freaking. It looks like he's got Elvis hair.
Oh, that's Rose. Say her sister died or something, trying to throw a space grenade. And saved a bunch of
Man,
horses.
technology. That's funny.
Oh, look, it's Camino. Look at that. That's where all the cloners live. Oh, I can actually feel my life essence draining from his. Needs more
So
Gungans.
this is some of that, like that deep fake stuff or something, huh?
There's
Well,
one of Ralph McQuarrie's pieces, just taking a shit on that. Hey kids, you ever see a Star Destroyer come out of the ocean? Well, you're gonna see it now. Oh, this is stupid. Well, you happy I'm gone now? You don't have Daddy to kick around anymore because this is what you get. What is that? Oh, look at this. There's C-3PO.
Yeah, those of you tuning in, be sure to follow Dataracer. The link's in the chat.
About a hair dryer. Let's put a dildo in there. Why not? Because you know what? We're just in my saga right in the. That's what this is. Merry Christmas. You know what? That's the sound of 1,000 executives just taking a shit on my work. Oh, look, it's desert. Another desert planet. Oh, I wonder which one this is. Like, how exciting. The saga will end. Thank God. Put it out of its misery. Oh, there's the space horses. Ooh, good. Thank God they tied up that gem of a storyline.
Okay.
Oh, I'm so relieved.
I have a conspiracy theory that this person is Canadian because they say saga.
SAG? Well, no, they could be from Pittsburgh, somewhere around there.
You know, I know the ending of this film. I'm going to spoil it for you. Spoiler alert. Here's how the film ends. You ready? At the very end, Star Wars dies.
Oh, that was great.
So go to Dataracer 117's Twitter today, and please click on that link and give him your love. And while you're there, please and follow him if you don't already. That is a absolutely brutal flip-flop on the part of Collider to host something that actually technically should have come out of the fandoms, to be honest with you. So I guess congratulations on a great video to Collider. I guess that's the only time you're going to hear me say that for a little while.
You never hear that.
But to stay true to our form over here, we'll give praise where it's due and criticism where it's also due. So there's some praise for a well done and well parody.
Let's hear it for Collider.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clap.
That's enough. All right. Moving on. Love you.
So, did anybody run across anything spectacular or odd or just stuck out?
On what?
Well, you know, with the entertainment industry, with things been going on, you know, bumps in the night.
I don't know. Well, are we including Pornhub?
Not your bumps, Shelly, not your bumps.
Oh.
Yeah, like the
Sorry.
excess media, you know, them doing just weird stuff like that.
What about
making excuses?
What about Star Trek? You want? I heard something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
If you look on YouTube, Bear, it's an interview that Connor Trenier does with Brasilis.
Mute yourself in the meantime, Shelly, please. Just mute yourself in the meantime.
Go ahead, PJ.
I'm putting it in the chat. It's an interview that Connor Trenier does with Brasilis. It's a Brazilian Trek organization.
I like Connor Trenier. He played Tucker in Enterprise.
Yeah. So this is like just last week. He they ask him about the current state of Star Trek, and he actually comments on it. He doesn't say much, but he says I think it's like minute 6 something.
Oh wow.
If you want to check it out.
Yeah.
I'll
let's
check.
see.
He doesn't want to screw around with his because he could get more work from Star Trek, but he doesn't keep silent either. He says he actually, because all the actors were afraid to talk. So it was kind of a big thing that he actually commented on.
Oh yeah, they all are for sure.
All right, let me go to the chat window and copy that. Once I navigate through thousands of tabs. No, just kidding. Not kidding, but kidding.
Trek. It's Trek Brasilis.
Yeah, I think it's Trek Brasilis. Yeah.
2.8K subscribers. Oh, and you say this was a video from when?
This was like 10 days ago. If you just put in Connor Trenier and Brasilis, it'll show up on YouTube.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Trek Brasilis sounds like a dinosaur or something.
Trek Brasilis.
So is this when he was speaking at a panel?
Yeah, let me find it myself. 1 second. So try to get it.
Doing
He's being interviewed.
Really?
Oh, it's an interview.
One-on-one.
Okay.
I'm waiting for a window to open. Darn it.
Now there's one here that is in Portuguese, but it's 9 minutes and 5 seconds long. I don't know if it's.
Yep, that's it. It's not in Portuguese though. It's in English.
Okay.
That's
All
it.
right.
I think if you go to minute like
Bring
6.
Is it okay? I'll see if I can. There.
Well, I found their channel.
I've got it down below there, Bear. I'll get it up to about a minute and 6. You say?
I was actually going to do a video on it, but it's not a lot, and I also didn't want to feature him like sticking it to Kurtzman because but probably is not going to benefit him. So,
Well, we can do that for him. No problem.
Yeah, you see, I found a site. I'll check.
Oh, I've got it right here, Bear.
I see.
There you go.
It's very nice to meet you. And I'd like to start by asking if you were aware and how much you were aware when you were a guest as a strip tucker in Enterprise of what it entailed to be in a Star Trek series. How much of that surprised you? All of it. All of it, sure. What did you think when you first was cast?
Well, I was very excited to be on a show, and then pretty quickly I realized the size of what I was getting involved with. And it really wasn't until my first convention that I got an understanding of the fan side of it. You're kind of contained when you're shooting a show. You're so busy that you don't really get an idea of what the scope maybe around the world or even in the. What really struck me was that before we even aired the show, we were on the cover of Entertainment Weekly, and at that point I was kind of like, oh, maybe this is a big deal. But I had no real idea prior to that. And you know what? I'm glad, because if I had any expectation, or the expectation I would have had I known, I would have been intimidated with it, because I was relatively ignorant of this whole world that we're talking about right now. It freed me up to sort of do my best work. It's nerve-wracking enough to walk onto a new show and to not think you're going to get fired. But sometimes ignorance is bliss.
I see. Well, and you went through a shock during the first season of Enterprise because you were shooting the first episodes, and then before you premiered, it happened with a horrific attack in New York, 9/11, and at that point you were doing a show about optimism and the future, and the whole world changed the mood 180 degrees. How was that to be on that set doing that work while the work was was changing in an instant.
Everything changed. I'll tell you, when I was doing the show, and it's a good question because
Man, he seems really afraid to talk.
I have gotten this amazing opportunity, and
Well, I don't think he seems scared. I think he's just careful.
really struggling.
Cautious.
Yeah.
He opens up at the end.
Had any value or had any importance. And I thought that I was now just doing some silly TV show, and I think a lot of us felt this way, that we need to be doing something else, something better. I had a conversation with my father about this, and I shared this with him. He said, actually, I disagree with you. I think that what you're doing right now is as important as it ever has been, because, one, the franchise that you're working with for has a message that's different than what's happening right now. And at the very least, what you're doing is giving people an hour respite a week, not think about what's happening. And that helped a lot. The other thing that people have to realize is that 9/11 changed. And 9/11 radically changed everybody, but it also radically changed, I think, the concept of our show.
Yeah, and that came about in the third season, right? And your character in particular made that whole point of view change that the world did in 2001. Your character went through the third season when you lost your. How did it feel to address that? So close.
Well, I felt a lot of responsibility for that. So I mean, it was clear that I was being used as a catalyst to express the feelings and emotions and intentions of the people writing our show, sort of filtered through me. And so I took a great deal of responsibility and great deal of care in how that was done.
I see. And my last question will have to do with the last episode of Enterprise, because you're killed. It's the end of the show.
I'm killed?
Yeah.
Every time I'm in a convention, every time, when this comes up, and it says that I hear this, sometimes it's loud, sometimes it's quiet, somebody goes, what? No.
It's a spoiler.
Yeah, and I'm always thinking, don't you have the internet?
But anyways, at that point, it looked like the end of it. So you were comfortable with it. You were welcoming of it, because I've seen interviews of you saying, "No, I'm okay with that. It puts an end to the character,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth." But now Star Trek is coming back. How do you feel? How do you feel to be dead?
Well, nobody really dies in science fiction. You should know that.
Okay, so hopefully you can come back.
There you are.
I mean, look, they already cloned me one time. It didn't work as well as it could have, but yeah, if they wanted to bring Trip Tucker back into the universe, it would not be what it should be is, I don't know if you guys remember Dallas, where there was a character, Bobby, who wakes up, he's in the shower, and they could do it 1,000 different ways. Would I do it? We'll talk.
Okay, and to wrap it up, I just like to ask you, how do you feel about the message of Star Trek, especially nowadays? We have a very large anti-science movement. We have a very divisive political landscape. How do you feel about the message of Star Trek nowadays?
Well, I think that the message of Star Trek the pendulum swings back and forth throughout our lives, and at this point in time, we are at a point where the pendulum has swung into a place where they're not listening to the words and language that maybe Gene Roddenberry had intended for us as human beings and for humanity. Express the best of us. That will change again. So my feeling on that is,
Hail.
sometimes the words, they don't get lost, they don't get forgotten, they don't get paid attention to. But words aren't for free. And we're at a period of time when the things that are being said and the things that are being done are of an extreme nature that, and it's my hope that the pendulum has gone to its height and will begin to come back to the message of Star Trek and the message of, not the message, the truth of science.
Oh, wow.
And that's my belief and my hope, that don't get too nervous or don't get too worried. Be worried for the things that happen in the moment, but recognize that life does this back and forth, and we're at a very, depending on how you believe, we're at a very uncomfortable place. But it'll come back. It has to, because there's too many people who care about the other direction, the other message, and the other language. Everybody was involved in the Star Trek universe. So we'll be all right.
Okay, thank you, Connor. It's been a pleasure.
Likewise.
Wow.
And how true? And how true is that, right? Oh,
Yeah.
So
A
for
very-
one of these actors, that was a pretty strong statement, even though it was
that's
very diplomatic.
Very,
That's
very
a-
diplomatic.
That's a very courageous line to take as well. Even as diplomatic as that is, he'll be excoriated for that if he has not already been. To say that we're living in an extreme and uncomfortable time, I mean, that's a pretty extreme thing to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I disagree with him. I've talked about the pendulum theory quite a bit.
So basically,
Actually
he's
talk-
saying once things get so bad out there, it's eventually going to come back. And he's basically saying, call me when it does.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
That's kind of the hint I got. It's like,
Well,
yeah,
I also think he's saying that Kurtzman's days are numbered.
Yeah.
I mean, let's bring back some of the old showrunners back,
I don't know if they would step into that quagmire again. Not with some of the people that HR employs now. I just don't think. I think that almost all these IPs have something very real to fear from HR departments. It's really made life unbearable. As tough as they say that business is to begin with. I mean, I just can't imagine being diametrically opposed to an ideology that prevents you from working. I mean, my word.
You're not going to believe this. Guess what's trending?
What's that?
On the YouTube app, if you press the trending, guess what's trending?
What?
It's going to make you laugh.
What, the Skywalker trailer?
Yep.
Of course it is.
13 million views.
But what was it we saw earlier? They scrubbed it and there was still only 30 comments with 344 retweets. Honest to God.
Oh, they scrubbed all those comments?
Yeah, Rotten Tomatoes had, I don't know, thousands of comments before lunch today. And then when Bear and I got back together later on in the evening, I went back to check the comments again because we were going to go through a few of them here tonight. They scrubbed the whole thing out. Somehow there's 344 tweets, but there's only retweets, but there's only 30 tweets. Like what? Come on. So Rotten Tomatoes is out scrub-a-dub-dub there this afternoon again.
Their hashtag they're using is #1 on trending. It's Star Wars: The Final Rise of Skywalker final trailer. Out of 13 million views, there's 324,000 likes, and there's 50,000 downvotes, dislikes. It's pretty phenomenal for a Star Wars movie,
So,
And that's just today in the last 24 hours. You know what? There's got to be more dislikes than that.
Oh yeah.
I think they're. Well, I heard myself there. Was there a sunspot or what? Yeah, there's something up with that.
Hot stuff. Well, I have no doubt that it's trending. I mean, on YouTube, oh yeah, everybody's watching it. Whether
I mean,
or not
if you go to trending, it's the first thing up there.
oh yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it makes sense for it to be up there.
And then
But I mean, but I
there's-
still need to point out that 13 million views and 500,000 likes is an atrocious proportion, by the way, regardless of the dislikes. You know, I mean,
just a little under 50,000 under by like 300 something thousand likes, you know. And there's that many millions that watched.
Yeah, it's underperforming.
Big time. I keep hearing myself.
that's a 39.9% approval rating on YouTube.
Wow.
Just so you know, 39 to 40.1% approval rating as far as likes to views ratio for YouTube. Ridiculous.
I wonder if my cell phone's been interfering with signal. That's weird. I wonder what the statistics could, because there wasn't when Return of the Jedi came out, there was no Twitter, nothing like that. So what would have kept track of things that were trending back then? I was 10 something, 11 most. No, I was 10. I was 10 when I seen Return of the Jedi.
See, they're playing some tricks here now. There's obviously more organized, like they say that the Phantom Menace is organized hate group and everything else. This is ridiculous. Look at these people here. Saga ends. The saga ends. The saga ends. Every second comment, all the way through the comments, through these 13 million views. Try to go. It's the even guy even says here. Try to go 2 views without seeing the saga ends. And then you look through, and it's the saga ends. The saga ends. The saga ends. And then people are saying, well, the Luke Skywalker saga ends. Doesn't mean Star Wars is over. Well, we know that. Yeah, Star Wars 3D, the animated musical reboot, coming in 2021.
No.
This seems like the most cliche Disney movie. This Christmas and every Christmas for the next 100 years. The Star Wars movie, generic sequel name. Trying to go through 2 comments without seeing the word saga. Yeah, the saga ends. It's just a bunch of, I don't even understand. 2 hours ago, 2 hours ago, 2 hours ago, 2 hours ago, 2 hours ago. Yeah, no coincidences here.
It's like, geez, are they trying to send a message that it's a hot potato, they don't want to touch it no more?
I don't know. Looks like Ray. Looks like Ray got her hands on a Samsung foldable lightsaber.
You remember when folding Samsung phones came out? They immediately started recalling them, I think.
2019, the saga
cracking.
ends. Oh. 2019, the saga ends. 2021, dude, where's my trilogy? A Rian Johnson story.
Yeah.
2019, the saga ends. 2021, artificial intelligence has Jedi babies. 2023, 2050, sequels versus prequels.
Yeah, Shellback gave up.
Yeah, I see. Poor Shelley. Sorry, bud.
Yeah, he's like,
My fault. 2020 seasons pass, 3 DLCs, 2 spin-offs, 3 new TV series. I hope Hayden.
Hey, Shellback, are you using your phone to use StreamYards or laptop? What about the Star Wars channel? Shellback said something.
Read some of these comments here. And so, getting back into the Star Wars stuff, what's your take on the shorts, PJ?
On the, you mean Star Trek shorts?
Yeah, the Star Trek shorts.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I thought we were just going to refer Doomcock immediately.
I thought that the first one, the Q&A, was just, I could not go 10 seconds without seeing something that was, upsetting. It was, I thought it was just really mind-boggling that they would. I thought it was just really bad. For Star Trek, if it was something else, fine, but it's Star Trek.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it. I mean, the voice of desperation. I mean, discovery is thy name. I don't know, like, to try to recover costs. I mean, to peddle that stuff around. I mean, it almost sounded as funny as when Lucasfilm, earlier in the summer went to its, licensees and one of the licensees had a question, about something, and Disney wanted to strong arm them into whatever, and they all just dropped they all just dropped everything and said, nope, bye. Usually, when you're trying to ask people for money, it's usually a good idea not to bully them, It's just a suggestion.
Yeah, don't insult your fan base.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about the people that are going to pay $200 million to build Star Wars Legos. When they go in there to give you a check for $200 million so they can use Star Wars on their products and sell them for you, you probably shouldn't bully them, because they can just look around the table and say, well, you put Toys R Us out of business last year. We know what's going to come with this Star Wars crap. So why do we even want to be here? Don't talk to us like that. We're the ones trying to pay you. And what are they gonna do? Destroy every retail chain until they learn their lesson? I don't understand. I even saw some new stuff that's on sale before the movie even comes out. Like, that's pretty bad,
Well, that I'm really glad I got that article out on that director that wrote the cartoons, the animations.
Which one? Which directed which cartoons? Barbara?
She was the one that the creator for the Maleficent cartoon.
Okay.
There was a Maleficent cartoon, right? Because I know they made the Maleficent movie, and I'm just wondering if she had her hands on that, because I think it was mostly just the animation. But there was one that she had her hands on, which was the Alice in Wonderland, the live action movie.
Yeah, it was saying that she was interested, or she was one of the figureheads that was instrumental in pushing for the more of the live action representations of the products and stuff like that, and so she had a big part to play in those.
The original source was the IndieWire.
Oh yes. I'll be right back, guys.
Sure thing. So yeah.
So what did your article say?
Well, basically, she's tired. She's basically tired of strong women characters being pushed. The quote is strong female characters. Linda Wolverton is a screenwriter responsible for developing Bella into an astute bookworm in Beauty and the Beast. She also had a hand in taking the fiendish Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty and creating a villain among villains. She says she's familiar with the phrase strong female characters, and she was rather sick of it, saying she's heard it for years and years. Sounds like she's pretty tired of it. And I'm glad she's speaking up, too. And here's a quote. "It's just an easy term," Wolverton said. "What does it mean?" The famous Disney screenwriter says that there are so many ways to describe women, rather than limiting the description to only the word strong. She goes further in giving her own take on the definition of strong female character, explaining what the phrase should mean, rather than what it usually means in the mainstream. A strong female character is somebody who is proactive in their world, who affects their world, isn't a victim, even victimized by it, Wolverton said. Oh, if they are victimized by it, they take action to change that for themselves. Wolverton says that those so-called strong female characters and stories look at the world in interesting ways, and it is those unique perspectives that serve to make a woman strong if she will stand up and be vocal about her perspectives. The dynamic Disney screenwriter says that there are so many ways to describe a woman rather than only referring to her as strong. Wolverton has worked as a children's theater producer and an animated television writer, after which Disney hired her. The studio was pleasantly surprised to see that she could also do something that many writers had not been able to do. After the success Disney enjoyed from its full-length feature film, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in 1937, Walt himself began to work on an adaptation of Beauty and the Beast, but writer after writer found it nearly impossible to tell the story of Beautiful Maiden and the prince who'd been cursed with hideous appearance of a monster. Wolverton's work with Disney was her first time to function as a screenwriter. Sounds like she was a wizard with screenwriting. And she also became the first woman to ever write an animated feature for Walt Disney Animation Studios. Her vision of Bella and Beast and her knack for storytelling propelled Disney's 1991 Beauty and the Beast into wild success, making the animated film an insane classic and afforded it a gross revenue of $600 million worldwide. 1991, $600 million was worth a lot more money back then. Under her creative prowess, Beauty and the Beast also became the first animated feature ever nominated for an Academy Award for Best Picture. That's back in those days when those things kind of meant something, you know. The film would serve as a starting line for Linda Wolverton's long career as one of Disney's most lucrative screenwriters. She collaborated on films like Aladdin, Mulan, and even co-wrote The Lion King. I've never actually watched Mulan. My cousins, some of my younger cousins, when that first came out, they kind of liked it. Wolverton even spearheaded the new live-action remake craze of the studios with her very own original idea for a grown-up version of Alice in Wonderland. Well, that definitely makes that movie a little bit more interesting. Yeah, this is... I hope more screenwriters and more Hollywood folks come out and start saying stuff.
Where is this article? I just shared it on the from your Twitter. Where is it posted? Where's this article?
This is on InsideTheMagicKingdom.com, and it was originally, the source was IndieWire. Source of it is at the bottom of this page. Here, let me do this.
Yeah, I just shared it from your Twitter, actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Because I did a video on that one earlier, and I used my hotspot to upload on my laptop, and it uploaded in like 15 minutes. Then there was a super big glitch, and I had to go into Beta Studio to find it, to label it, and post it. Otherwise, I never would have been able to post it. Glitches. Shellback says it's funny when things named the Orville and the Expanse are getting higher praise from Star Trek and Star Wars fans than Star Trek and Star Wars. Yeah, that about sums it up, I'd say.
Yeah. Yep.
Man, I can't wait for some more Orville.
Yeah, we're gonna have to
Can't
wait quite a bit, but but I actually think that we might be surprised, and there may be some fan films coming out before we actually get the series again.
Really?
Yeah, there's a
Oh, that'll be
possibility.
interesting.
Yeah.
Go on.
No, I was just saying there's a possibility because there's there are several groups like working on it, and I was going to talk about that tomorrow actually, but I don't have much information. It's just that there's a possibility we might get something, who knows, in the summer from somebody.
Yeah. You back, Mike?
Yes, I is here. Just going through the day's memes. I meant to ask one of these questions too. We might have talked about this in private before, but I don't think we went into this.
All right, Shellback, you take it easy.
Have a good night, Shelly. We'll catch you when we can keep ourselves online. It was me last night and you tonight. Go figure.
And me the other day. Oh, Gary Nerdrotic, when he did a live stream, he had 2 live stream windows that popped up.
Yep. Yeah. And I heard you were given a shout out today as well, Bear.
Yeah, that was nice. That was cool. I wasn't gonna say nothing about it, but yeah, that's it was cool.
No, I know you wouldn't, but I sure can.
Yeah, I liked it.
I was quite proud of you. I thought it was good news.
A shout out. Where did you get the shout out?
Oh, Gary gave me a nice shout out today in
great.
Patreon Nooner today. And
Awesome.
I like to be humble. I don't like to be a braggart.
Well, that's okay. I thought it was kind of cool. But anyways, a few weeks ago, obviously during the cast interviews and that we remember watching, Mr. Daniels was approached by this reporter, and what do you think the question should have been? But if you go back and you watch that footage, it's the reporter just doesn't even want to ask because I guess they've been told to be afraid that maybe Mr. Daniels will pull a Mark Hamill and say something untowards, which he does anyway, because in his own way, he kind of makes the point of the whole thing. And of course, now I'm getting, And so Anthony takes the mic himself from the reporter and asks the question that he should have been asked. And how did you feel about this being the last time you would be in a major Star Wars film as C-3PO? And then he hands the mic back, and of course his face looks like that.
Sullen.
Yeah, and so like my meme says here, pretty good question to ask, it seems. Anthony's career and all. Why won't they ask? Are they afraid of what he'll say? We have to ask ourselves at this point, what the heck is happening? And so I don't see Anthony Daniels being very impressed with the scene from the trailer, to be honest with you. I can't imagine that's a very fulfilling scene for a character such as his.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Bear.
What was that, PJ? You had something to say?
Yeah, but you were going to say something.
No, I was asking you what you're going to say.
Oh. I actually have a theory about that. I actually think that you're right. Maybe it will be the last Star Wars movie, but I think if Mandalorian goes well, I think somebody like Favreau is going to start to have guest people on, and I totally see Anthony Daniels on as like maybe even as a different protocol droid, for example.
I would like that, actually. Yeah.
Just a possibility.
Yeah. I think that would be interesting. Because, I'm just thinking about that scene where, you reminded me of the scene where 3PO is saying goodbye to his friends. Because of whatever they're getting ready to do, he's got all the stuff wiring hooked up to the back of his memory module of his head. Hey, did you get bumped out, Mike?
Yeah. Oh well, it'll just do the round robin until we're all dead, I guess. Thanks, Disney. Oh well.
Gentlemen, I gotta wrap up. I gotta do something before I go to bed. But thanks guys for the invite. I appreciate it, Bear.
Well, hey, plug your channel real quick.
Absolutely.
Oh well, Orville Nation, everything to do with the Orville. Whoever wants to subscribe, please do. And we also touch upon some other topics. And thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it. It was nice.
Yeah, no problem.
Nice
It's been fun. Yeah, this was spontaneous today.
Yeah. So thanks for coming by. It was awesome.
Yeah, but it was fun. All right. Good night, guys. Thanks.
Good night.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Well, that was fun.
Very nice.
Well, I think we about ran the gauntlet of the topics. So one more thing I noticed, because we went over the final word. I'm still baffled. The final word and Mark Hamill said, it was the last word that Carrie Fisher said. Always.
Yeah.
And it's a word trigger. The Force will be with you always. Remember that?
Yep.
And we've heard it in the early movies. And I'm thinking that it's nostalgia. The word always is supposed to make us think of the Force will be with you always.
Well, it's sort of, I've been saying this since the beginning. It was label slapping that put us in our seats for The Force Awakens. I think that Disney approached this in a dual capacity. I think that on the one hand, they knew that they could never get away, just because of the nature of the IP, that they could never get away with ignoring legacy fans. And so they used nostalgia in order to placate or satisfy or satiate the legacy fans, while doing what they wanted to do with their new narrative and their new, direction and so on at the same time. And there's nothing wrong with depth, and there's nothing wrong with complexity, and there's nothing wrong with any of those things. I mean, generally speaking, some of those things are some of the most dazzling things and some of the most interesting things. But when you try to do things that are diametrically opposed to each other, and you try to do them in the same vehicle at the same time, it's chaotic. It's confusing and it's off-putting, which, like I said, I mean, how can we go from a franchise where people are lining up to see a trailer for 2 weeks before a trailer comes out, camping out in front of the theater and going in and paying $20 for a ticket to watch a 2-minute and 30-second trailer and then walking out before they even watch the movie? How did we go from a Star Wars culture that is that invested, that is that we can do it attitude no matter what, to what we have now? What is that? The fans' fault? Really? That's the fans' fault. Okay. I don't know. I don't think it's the fans' fault. I think the fans have had it. I think that's what it is. And, that's what the Fandom Menace represents. And so I don't know. I think trying to do too many things at once means that you're not very good at either one of them. So I think that's what they've done, and they've done it ineptly, and they've done it lazily, and they've done it harshly and bitterly against their own fans. And I think that they took lessons from the wrong IPs in retaliation tactics, when they should have thought more about resolution and cooperation instead. And I don't know. I think it's about time for some of the IPs that we love to have people in charge. Like, can you imagine if Doomcock had a position such as Pablo Hidalgo has as a creative director at any franchise concerning Star Trek? Can you imagine if Doomcock? No, I'm not saying a writer. I'm not saying a director. I'm not saying a producer or anything like that at all. I'm talking about the guy who sits in the writer's room and says, nope, can't do that here. Nope, can't do that here. Can you imagine if we had somebody like Doomcock doing that? It would probably be one of the better Star Treks that have ever come out since the originals, as far as most of the fan base was concerned. And they could feel comfortable knowing that someone has the franchise's interests in mind. We keep talking about these cultural advisors that you see popping up in municipalities and in governments and in political positioning and in all sorts of places. It's like an extension of HR. It's like a cultural affairs officer. Well, I think it's about time for some of those sorts of things in and around the franchises that some of these IPs represent culturally. And I think that it is time to have Guardians steward these properties. And there's been a lot of talk of a lot of people in the Phantom Menace putting their money together, seeing how they can affect change by creating a possibility of purchasing an IP to, wrestle control out of the ideologues' hands and actually maintain it as a fan cultural entity. And I think that there's a lot of merit behind these ideas. I think it's very complex to try to get into, but I think they're pretty interesting. And it's definitely telling you where culturally important intellectual properties for everyone will be progressing into the future, because they can try to say it's about laser swords and wizards and space wizards all they want, because you can turn the page and still see that they're still crying about $1.2 billion. So you can't have children and laser swords and space wizards and billions of dollars and expect us to take you seriously, So, like Mr. Trenier was saying in the video, the pendulum will swing. And the problem is that maybe it has swung a little too far in one direction. And it has pushed the people that are usually in the middle of the pendulum swing. It has pushed them in the other direction, because socially, when the pendulum goes that far, it takes not just the people on the opposite side to pull it back, but it takes a few from the middle too, because it's gone too far. You need extra help to kind of pull it back, and that's why the middles cross over to the other side, is because they have no choice. Everybody's leaning on the rope. Like, it's not that they're standing firmly over there. They're like leaning on the rope like you do in a tug of war, trying to pull the thing back, And so eventually it will come back. And that's what I was referring to when we talked before about what I think is in store for this next decade, and this explosion of creative thought and possibility of, creators breaking out of this constricted and restrictive space, because there's nothing creative about it. It's a prison. And the artists are just waiting to break out of it, even though some of them might not know it yet.
Over Nation says they used to have consultants like that in the room. Yeah,
well, that's what I mean. Pablo was hired originally with the story group. I know he has a different position now, but that was his job, to sit there and say, no, you can't use an FTL drive like that in Star Wars. You just can't do that. I don't care if you need a woman to do something amazing. Find something else. You can't do that here. But he didn't do that. He didn't stand up and say, wait a second, you can't do that here. You just unraveled 45 years of science fiction lore here. Like, you can't do that here. If you want to do that, go over to Battlestar, or go over to, do something different, And I don't know if I've talked to you. Maybe that's a better discussion left for the Oval Nation, actually, because my understandings of how an FTL drive works in the Star Wars universe as compared to an FTL drive in a Star Trek universe, the difference between a warp bubble that shields the ship as it passes through space quickly, as opposed to a navicomputer which learns the position of everything that moves around it,
right,
in And the more it flies, the more it learns, and the better it becomes, which is how the Falcon was originally understood to have been so good of a ship, was that it had done things so many times through such perilous routes that it had managed to calculate the most efficient routes, and to now have a Nazi robot, stapled into the brain of the that's what makes the Falcon special. I mean, and apparently it's always been there. I mean, it's just wow. And again, you would have somebody say, well, wait a second, you can't do that. So I don't know the different, for the FTL drive in a Star Wars universe to work the way that it does, to know the positioning of all these things and to refine itself as it, exercises itself over and over and over. It refines its measurements more and more and more as it goes. Its whole purpose is it's a collision avoidance system. It's the hyperdrive in a Star Wars craft is a collision avoidance system. That's how it's designed. It picks and flings you from place to place and around all these objects. I mean, even Han Solo said we could fly too close to a supernova or smash into an asteroid, and that'd be it for your trip real quick, wouldn't it, Junior? So to have someone intentionally tell a hyperdrive computer that it needs to smash into something is basically engaging all the safety protocols for that drive and saying, no, but we can't do that because it will annihilate ourselves.
No, we wouldn't want that.
Well, yeah. So I mean, you can't. And again, the most Occam's razor version of that whole thing becomes, well, why not just build Sputnik-sized little spacecraft with droids on them and fly them to whoever your enemy is? You don't need fleets. You don't need Death Stars. You don't need ships that can carry human beings with oxygen and food and all this crap. You don't need any of that. You just need a droid with an FTL drive stapled to its ass, basically.
Yeah, a certain Andorian female in an Enterprise episode says, it's not the weapon, it's the one who wields it.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
In any case, we'll save the FTL drive conversation for an Orville Nation conversation. I think we could have a great conversation about those kinds of technicalities. But thanks for coming, Orville. That was pretty neat. And sorry, Shelley, for your tech difficulties.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming. Thanks, Orville Nation. Thanks, Shellback. And thanks, Mike, for coming. And I think we're going to log this stream off and say goodnight, all. Hail to the Fandom Menace.
Hail to all of our friends out there in the Fandom Menace. And thanks for coming up with the idea to do a stream like this. We should do this more often, Bear. And I hope you had a good time. Me too. And we'll see you on Friday night, brother.
All right.